make sure we go live here. All right, and we are live. Cool. Okay. Welcome to the fourth Bible study. Oh, I probably put this under hyperdash. I might want to yeet that off of there. Fourth Bible study. Oops. Wow, I did not do that well. Okay. Wait, why did that go to that again? Fourth Bible study. There we go. Okay. We're fixed. We're good. Okay. So, this week will be a continuation on last week, where I talked about Joseph and him going through his trials in his life and ends up eventually being second in command over all of Egypt because of God's blessing on his life and him being able to listen to God and do all the stuff that he was supposed to do to be able to follow God's will for his life. So, where we are going to pick up is in Genesis chapter 42, for anyone following along at home. And we'll start with verse 1. And it says, "Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, Lest peradventure mischief befall him." So he didn't send Benjamin because Benjamin and Joseph were the only sons that Joseph's mother had, and she died after Benjamin was born. So, Jacob didn't have any other opportunity to be able to have sons or children from. Oh man, I should. Jacob's wives was Hannah and Rebecca. And it was Rebecca that had Joseph and Benjamin. Okay, let's see here. So his brothers went down and met up with Joseph. Let's see. Verse 7. "And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land are ye come. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food, thy servants are come. And we are all one man's sons, we are true men, thy servants are no spies." And then Joseph insists that they're spies, and they said no. And Joseph directly asked them about Benjamin and about his father, Jacob. And pick it up in verse 20, or actually 19. "If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, we are very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore this distress has come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child? And ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, his blood is required. And they're talking about when they sold Joseph into slavery, and this is what they're saying amongst themselves. And verse 23, and they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter, to be able to create more of a gap there, so they wouldn't be Joseph wouldn't be recognized by his brothers. He used the interpreter and didn't speak Hebrew. Let's see, in verse 24, he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned unto them again, and communed with them, and took Simeon and bound him before their eyes. Let's see, and then Joseph commanded their sacks, to fill their sacks with corn, and restore every man's money into his sack, and give them provision for the way. And he did thus unto them. So, throughout this interaction, Joseph decides to test his brothers. This test, the first test that he put them through is the test of honesty, to see if they would be honest about his father and his brother. And he's trying to test to see whether or not they have honesty in dealing with Joseph, and dealing with just stuff in their lives. He also wanted to test their integrity, and in this part here where Joseph told them to fill their sacks with corn and restore every man his money, this is an integrity test. And we will see verse 28. So verse 27, one of them opened up, and as one of them opened up his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, he espies his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto his brethren, my money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God hath done unto us? And then they go back and tell their father what happened. And they also tell him that they have to bring Benjamin, the youngest, Joseph's younger brother, and all of their youngest brother, to Egypt to talk to this strange man, which is Joseph. Let's see here, verse 36. Jacob, their father, said unto them, me have you bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and you will take Benjamin away, and all these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. So Reuben, he's the only one that did not know that Joseph was still alive. The rest of his brothers knew that he was sold into slavery, but Reuben did not. And him making this commitment really means a lot, because he really did think Joseph was no more. And as far as the rest of his brothers knew, they have no idea what happened to Joseph. They going all through this wouldn't have imagined that Joseph ended up being second in command. Verse 38, and he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which you go, then ye shall bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. So Jacob was the one saying that. That was the end of that chapter. So chapter 43 says, the famine was sore in the land, and it came to pass, when they had eaten up all the corn which they had brought up out of Egypt, their father said unto them, go again and buy us a little food. Judah, this time taking up the responsibility, says, and Judah spake unto him, saying, the man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And then says, and Israel, which Jacob got the title Israel, and that's why from God, and that's why Israel's called Israel's, because Jacob was called Israel. Anyway, therefore, and Israel said, therefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother. And Judah says, he asked, this is the part where the man asked us straightly of our state and of our kindred, saying, is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words, and we could not, could we certainly know that he would say, bring your brother down. Basically, they're trying to explain to Israel, he asked us all these questions. How are we supposed to know that he was going to tell us to bring down our brother and show, basically show him off to him? And basically they're trying to say, well, it's not our fault. So, and then Judah said unto his father in verse 8, send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and our little one, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee, and set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever. So right here, so far we've had Reuben and we have Judah putting themselves on the line, and I'm sure that some of the other brothers probably would have done the same on some level to be able to give sureties to Israel that Benjamin would make it home. But these two are the most notable, because these two are the ones that are mentioned in giving something up. And Reuben, his two sons, and then Judah himself for bearing the blame forever. And so this convinces Israel to let Benjamin go, but he also sends a gift to give to Joseph as well, which is he says, take the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down the man a present, a little balm, a little honey, spices, and myrrh, nuts, and almonds. And then he also tells them to take double the money, to make up for what they got in the sacks, plus the money that they would require to be able to buy more food and stuff. So right here, they are passing the integrity test that Joseph has set down for them. We'll see here in a second. They're going to give back the money that they had got back from the first time, plus the second round. Let's see here. Verse 19. And they came near the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And it came to pass, when we came to the end, we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight, and we have brought it again in our hand. Verse 23 says, peace be unto you, fear not, your God and the God of your father hath given you your treasure in your sacks. I had your money. and he brought Simeon out onto them. So he, Joseph keeps his word, and Simeon's allowed to be able to join his brothers again. Then they go over to Joseph's house. They give him water, wash their feet, give their asses food. Then let's see here. Joseph in verse 25. They get ready to see him. They get ready for food. They're gonna have like a afternoon feast. In verse 26. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and they bowed themselves to him to the earth, which is a fulfillment of Joseph's dream. When we first started last week, Joseph had the dream of the wheat sheaves bowing down to him, and there was no other indication of, like with the second dream where the stars made obeisance and the sun and moon in there were there. That was the second dream. This is the fulfillment of the first dream, and them bowing themselves down to the earth and fulfilling that. Verse 27. And he asked for their welfare, and they said, the father is well. And he asks if he's still alive. They say yes, he is in good health, and they make obeisance again. And then here, verse 29, Joseph says, Joseph, and he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, is this your younger brother of whom he spake unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there. See, Joseph, through all this, testing his brothers, trying to see if they have changed from when they threw him into prison, was very hard on him. He weeps multiple times because he just has so much emotion for his family. He loves his family so much, and he wants to he wants nothing else but to be able to reveal himself and make himself known and make up for the past with his brothers and forgive them. But he has to test them to be able to see if they have changed. And verse 31, washed his face and went out and refrained himself. So he got his composure, and then he set on bread. And then there's a verse about separating people who they ate with. So the Egyptians won't eat with Hebrews. That's an abomination to Egyptians. But that's kind of like a side fact. Let's see here. They sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another. And he took and sent messes onto them, or food, onto them before him. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him. So this is another test here, giving Benjamin much more than his brothers, to see if his brothers were to get jealous against Benjamin, because with Joseph, he got the coat of many colors, and he was treated above his brethren, and they got jealous and mad and everything else. So this was another test for the rest of his brothers, to see if they would say anything, but they didn't. They just drank and were merry. So that was the last of 43. Chapter 44. He commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sack with food, and much they carry it, and put the money back. So this is another integrity test here, and a character test. Is the third point that I get to. So having Benjamin get 5 times as much is also a test of character, as well as with integrity. Kind of goes into the same there. Some goddamns. Okay, let's see here. So chapter 44 verse 1 talks about putting the money back, but 2, here's the biggest difference here. This is the last and final big test for his brethren. He tells the steward to put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth, or in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money, and he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. Verse 3, they get sent away. 4, when they are gone out of the city, yet not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, up and follow after the men, and when thou dost overtake them, say unto them, wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Is not this in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? Ye have done evil in so doing. So basically, he's referencing the cup there. And let's see here. He overtook them and spake unto them those same words. And then they say, and they said unto him, wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servants should do according to this thing. Verse 8, behold, the money which we found in our sack's mouth we brought again unto thee out of the land of Canaan. How should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver or gold? With whomsoever thy servants it be found, let him die, and we also be my Lord's bondmen. So they're confident here enough to say, let whoever is found with this cup, let him to die, and then we be bondmen, because they all didn't think that anybody would steal anything. Verse 10, and he said, now let it be according unto your words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless. And then they speedily took down every man his sack, opened up every man his sack, and he searched the eldest and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. They rent their clothes, and they hurried back to the city, back to Joseph, to the house, where they fell on the ground again. And Joseph said unto them in verse 15, what deed is this that ye have done? Wot ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? And then Judah says, basically, what should we say unto you? What do we need to? How should we clear ourselves? He's offering himself as, let's see. Well, I'll just read it. And Judah said, what shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also whom the cup is found. And he said, God forbid that I should do so, but the man in whose hand the cup is found shall be my servant. As for you, get you up in peace unto your father. So that's what Joseph said there. Then Judah came near unto him and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ear. Let not thine anger burn against thy servant, for thou art even as Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servant, saying, have you a father or brother? And we said unto my Lord, okay, so he's reviewing what happened before about him asking questions about father and his brother and stuff. His brother is dead. He's left alone of his mother. His father loved him. He's pleading his case for Benjamin. He's trying to trade. Let's see, where's the verse where he tried to say trade? We say unto the Lord, the lad cannot leave his father, For if he should leave his father would die. Then he said on this, except your youngest brother come down with you that was in view. Let's see here. Then he covers the part where his father says, go again, buy a little food. We'll take Benjamin down with us. Otherwise, Joseph wouldn't see him. Let's see here. Verse. Okay, here we go. Verse 29. And if you take this also from me, and mischief befall him, he shall bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now, therefore, when I come up to thy servant my father, and the lad be not with us, seeing that his life is bound up in the lad's life, and it shall come to pass, when he seeth the lad is not with us, he will die. And thy servant will bring down the gray hairs of thy servant our father with sorrow to the grave. For the servant became surety the lad unto my father, saying, if I bring him not unto thee, I shall bear the blame of my father forever. And now therefore I pray, let thy servant abide instead of the lad, a bondman unto my Lord, and let the lad go with his brethren. So this is where Judah's trying to trade his life for Joseph, or for Benjamin's. Verse 34, how shall I go up unto my father, and the lad be not with me, lest peradventure I see the evil that shall come on my father. So right here, he is absolutely acing the test that Joseph has set before him. He is, Judah's upholding the promise that he gave his father. He is trying to trade his life for Benjamin so that his father won't die of heartache, and that he can keep his word as a man. And so that's he passes the test of integrity. He passes the test of honesty. He passes the test of his character. Absolutely, with flying colors here. So much so that chapter 45, verse 1 says, then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me, talking to the Egyptians. And there stood no man with him while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren, and he wept aloud, and the Egyptians of the house of Pharaoh heard. Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. It's very, very, very emotional for Joseph here. Verse 4, it says, and Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. God sent me before you to preserve a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Now it was not you that sent me hither, but God, and he had made me a father to Pharaoh, a lord of all of his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. And he says, haste ye, go up unto my father, and say unto him, thus saith thy son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And then he tells him where to go, and that he'll take care of him and nourish him. Verse 14, and he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. After this, his brethren talked with him. So this was very, very emotional. A great weight has been taken off of Joseph's heart and soul, being able to see his brethren not only alive and well, but also to be able to see his brother Benjamin, and then also knowing that his father was still alive with all the stuff that's happened throughout the past several years. The test that he tested his brothers with was necessary, because if he had not tested them, the only knowledge that he would have had of them was from the past. This was a way to get to relearn and re-know his brothers through these through this test. And another reason why he was so emotional and everything else through all this was because he realized that his brothers had changed. They had gained honesty, gained integrity, gained character while Joseph was in Egypt, and they had grown so much since that time, and they were willing to lay down their lives for his blood brother Benjamin, because they knew how much they messed up with Joseph, and they could not afford to mess up with Benjamin. And even though Joseph gave Benjamin 5 times as much food, gave him so much the more attention than his other brothers, none of them got jealous. None of them even noticed. They were just glad to be able to be treated the way they were treated, and be able to have the opportunity to get to know the second in command of all of Egypt. And they didn't even pay attention to what unfairness Joseph was testing them with, because they knew that they were just grateful for what they had. So after all this, let's see here. Joseph gave him a bunch of wagons and food, and he gave, as verse 22, to all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. So he's still showing some favoritism there, but none of the verses say that any of his brethren complained or anything else like that about this extra stuff that Joseph gave Benjamin. And to his father he sent after this manner 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. And so he sent his brethren away, they departed, and he said unto them, see that you fall not out by the way. Let's see, they went out of Joseph onto father. Let's see here. And they told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he is the governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. And when they told him all the words of Joseph, and which he said unto them, and when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go see him before I die. That's the end of chapter 45. And the next chapter is the great reunion that they have, and there's also a bunch of the generational stuff that takes place as well. But Joseph, throughout his life, throughout all his trials, throughout everything that's happened, he was able to go through everything, did not complain, and he was able to test his brother, see his brother's growth, and he was so glad that he just wept and rejoiced in all of this. And then he also was able to be reunited with his father as well. So not only did he get all of his family back, but he also got the blessing of being able to save his family and save everyone in Egypt and save everyone around Egypt through all of this. And he remained humble. He remained just the way God wanted him to be. God blessed him through his life, and it you know this is why Joseph's one of my favorite people in the Bible. Just his humility and his ability to be able to go through all this and be able to have such wisdom and such closeness with God, even though he was far away from his homeland, far away from his brothers, far away from his father, and he just still is faithful. One of the words you can describe Joseph is faithful, and I admire that. That's what I want to be in my life. Is I want to be faithful to God, no matter what circumstances are, no matter what happens in my life or those around me. I want to remain faithful. So, thank you all for listening. I'll go ahead and pray, and then we'll wrap this up. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so very much for just being able to have your word to study and word to be able to learn from and to be able to admire people from the past, Lord. Please, Lord, just help this lesson to be able to be a blessing to those who hear it, and that they'd be able to get something from it, Lord. Please bless the rest of this day, and the rest of our lives, Lord, that we be able to follow your will and follow your way for our lives, and that we might be able to be faithful, Lord. Please bless us, guide us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.